Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Jameson Journey. I am so excited today to talk to you guys a little bit about obsessive compulsive disorder. I know that I've talked about this a lot on my Instagram. I've talked about it in my stories. I've even written some posts about it. But today I want to go a little bit more in depth with you guys on what OCD is. I know a lot of us use that term very lightly. I hear it all the time. People say, oh, well, my desk has to be clean and everything has to be neat and in order, so I am just so OCD. Gosh, I'm so OCD. Everything in my house has to be clean. I can't have shoes laying around. I can't have this. I can't have that. And because of that, people think that they are just so OCD. Well, let me explain to you what OCD really actually is. I think there are so many misconceptions about what obsessive compulsive disorder actually is. And it's funny because when I share with someone that I was diagnosed with severe OCD as a young child, they think, oh, so you just really like to be clean. I think to myself, no, you should probably see my room or my car. My husband can attest to the fact that I am actually a very messy person. I am not super clean. And so then people get confused. They're like, well, if you're not super clean and you're not super organized, then how do you have OCD? And that's when I say to them, because that's not what OCD is. And so this is the episode that I really want to explain to you guys what obsessive compulsive disorder is. So obsessive compulsive disorder is made up of two separate types. There's the obsessions and there's the compulsions. So some people have to do compulsions to repress their obsessive thoughts. Some people have rituals that they have to perform over and over in their head for them to get over their obsessive thought. And so I just have a quote here from the World Health Organization. So it says that OCD can be so debilitating and disabling that it was once ranked the top 10 most debilitating illnesses of any kind in terms of loss of earnings and diminished quality of life. Now, to me, that doesn't really sound like the OCD that most of you know, which is being organized and staying clean. And so that's why I want to talk to you a little bit about what OCD really is today. I want to take you back to when I was a little girl. I was probably in 5th grade. This was when I was diagnosed. And I had a friend, and he had kissed me on the cheek. And I had gotten so obsessed with the thought that I was pregnant. And you might laugh, you might say, well, that's crazy. But to me, I was convinced. And of course, I didn't know what the birds and the bees were. I didn't know how that worked. But I was so convinced that every day I woke up and I was physically sick to my stomach because I thought that because a boy kissed me on the cheek, I was pregnant and that I had done something wrong. And I couldn't get over it all day long. It just stuck with me. And this happened for a year straight. I would wake up, I felt sick, I felt sad. I was in 5th grade, I was pretty young. And finally, I remember telling my mom one day, and she had dealt with OCD with some family members of mine. And so she decided to get some help and just see kind of if maybe that's what I was dealing with. And when I told the therapist that I was going through all of these different rituals and I was doing all of these different things, they realized that I was diagnosed with OCD. And so for a while there, it was pretty mild. I felt like there were certain things that I had to do. I always felt like there was a lot of what ifs. What if I lied? What if I cheated on that test? What if I did this? What if I did that? And my brain would get stuck on it to the point where I wouldn't be able to focus in school. I wouldn't be able to enjoy my time with my friends because my brain was so stuck on this reoccurring thought that I had done something wrong and that I needed to fix it. I would say I was diagnosed really severely though in college. So there are different types of obsessive compulsive disorder and people don't realize this. There's actually pedophilia OCD, there's homosexual OCD, there's disease OCD, there's just relationship OCD, there's general OCD. So I have really touched on all of those throughout my life, but I would say the biggest area that my OCD has hit me is in the relationship and the faith. There's also faith and religious OCD as well. And so what that looks like is sometimes we get thoughts in our head. I think we can all agree that we have obscure, weird thoughts that may pop into our head during the day. And so for me, I would get the thought that, I was helping at maybe a homeless shelter, and I thought that maybe if I had touched something that I had gotten a disease. And then I was so convinced that I had this disease that to relieve that feeling, relieve that thought, I had to go get tested because I was so obsessed over the thought that this could potentially be true. I've had OCD where I thought that, what if I don't love the person that I'm with? What if I really don't care about them? What if they're lying to me? What if they're hiding something? And so I would get really, really stuck on small little things. Like maybe if one day they weren't as excited and happy as they usually were, I would think that, oh, well, something's wrong. They're cheating on me. They're just, something bad is happening. And so I would convince myself of these things. And so what then someone has to do that is having these obsessive thoughts is that they have to do some type of compulsive ritual inside of their head. And when I say ritual, that might sound weird, but it's something that they have to do over and over again until they can suppress the thoughts. And so for me, if I felt like if I touched something and I must have a disease now, my compulsion would be to go get tested for a disease to make sure that I was 100% sure that I didn't have it. For relationships, it was a lot of checking in with the person, asking if they're okay, asking if something's wrong, or maybe wanting to see their phone, or freaking out and wanting to get just for sure confirmation that the thought that I am thinking is not true. And so you can probably understand why this is so debilitating. There were many days and are still many days that I am at work and I can't focus. I may be sitting there looking like I'm doing my work, typing, which I am, but really my brain is somewhere else. It's on these thoughts that something bad is happening, and I have to know before it happens. And so I have to text my husband, or I have to call my mom, or I have to research all of these things on Google, and I have to find out the answers. And so there are so many times where it really affects my day to day. And sometimes I get so caught up in the thoughts that that's when I have panic attacks. And sometimes my panic attacks can last an hour, 2 hours. It just depends. Sometimes even just 5 minutes. And so the reason that I tell you a little bit behind OCD, the obsessions and the compulsions that someone with obsessive compulsive disorder does, is because I really want to teach each of you what the real reasons are behind why someone with OCD does what they do. And I also want to teach society and people that OCD is not just about being clean and organized. And I think with someone like myself, I've gotten to the point where I'll be talking with someone and they say, oh, I'm just so OCD. And that used to really upset me, because all I could think is, you have no idea. You have no idea what OCD is. You have no idea what going through OCD is like. But now I've gotten to a point where I just think, you know what? They're just misinformed. It's not their fault. They don't know that OCD is a constant battleground in my head, going back and forth, trying to fight these thoughts that aren't even true. And they don't get that. And so I really wanted to just share today a little bit about my experience with you guys. And I hope this gives you some insight into what obsessive compulsive disorder really truly is, and why when we say I am so OCD, that really it is really minimizing what someone with OCD is actually going through. And so I want to do some more videos on the different types of OCD, the different types of therapy. I even want to do a video of why hasn't God healed me. I've been praying for healing since I was in 5th grade, and I have not received that yet. And so I want to talk to you guys more about why does God heal some and not others? And so today I just wanted to give you an overview of obsessive compulsive disorder and what were obsessions, what are compulsions, and why do we do these certain things over and over and over again. And truly it's because we're just trying to relieve this horrible thought that we're having in our head. And so if you know someone with OCD, you have to be so patient with them. I'm so blessed by my husband. He's so patient with me and all of my, compulsions that I do, and a lot of questions that I ask, and very specific and peculiar questions. And he's gotten to a point where he knows what my therapy is, and he knows to remind me, hey, let's do our therapy tools. Let's focus on that. But someone with OCD just really needs someone that's gonna stick by them and be patient with them. And so if you know someone with OCD, stick with them, be patient, and make sure that they're getting the right therapy. It's really hard to do it on your own. Most people think that with OCD, you just fight back and you just tell the thoughts that they're wrong and it's a lie, but actually that just makes the OCD worse. It almost feels like reverse psychology. It's very, very interesting and intricate how your brain works with OCD. And so thanks for letting me share a little bit about OCD today with you. And again, stay tuned for some more videos coming in the future about the different types of OCD and different therapies that you can use. Thanks, guys.